Hey everybody, welcome back to Vinyl Fridays, the only vinyl reviews show that's, like, first of all, doesn't really address the actual vinyls. It's really just an album review show that happens to be focused on, like, using vinyls as a prop. And also, which has probably been addressed in the comments somewhere, and also is the only show that is seriously reconsidering this whole plan to record every episode of it in one sitting, but we'll see how far we get. And today I'm going to be talking about Fetch by Melt Banana, which has a fucking badass cover art that just, oh, it's so fucking cool. And it also has a really badass looking disc in here. I gotta pull this out. I mean, this is the closest thing to, like, vinyl review I do on this show, is just showing you how cool looking the vinyl is. The fact of the matter is, I don't really listen to these. I mostly buy them as a way to support the artist and spend money on the product. Like, it's not really about actually, putting it to the turntable. I mean, why would I bother? Why would I bother going to all that trouble when I can just fucking listen to it on my computer, I'm gonna flip the fucking disc halfway through the album. Most albums these days are not written to be stopped in the middle and flipped, But whatever. Melt Banana by Fetch. This is some really fun, really off-kilter and intense, I guess, experimental rock music. What's the word for this? Psychedelic, acid rock, almost grindcore in a way. Every song on this is very fast, most of them are pretty short, and they're very, intense. Every song is just, like, hitting you over the head with lots of noise all at once. I guess noise rock is a good word for it as well. But the weird thing about it, and the interesting thing about Melt Banana, is that in spite of how intense they are, everything is very high-pitched, high-register, and, like bright and poppy in a way. My mom, I played a song from this in the car with my mom, and she said, "Is this a 33 being played at 45? Like, she thought it was sped up, like Alvin and the Chipmunks style, that they had taken the album and just played it in fast forward and then made that the recording, which is not the case, but I totally get why she thinks that, because the lead singer this is a Japanese band. The lead singer is a Japanese woman with a very high-pitched, squealy voice, and she sings really fast and, like, staccato kind of rhythms, and the guitars are super high-pitched and glistening. The drums, which are entirely synthesized, but you can't even really tell. At least I couldn't tell until I found out. The drums and bass are both synthesized, are all high-pitched. So everything about it has this very bright, glistening sound that's like being left out in the sun and baked there or something. Especially the very beginning of the album, which is playing this weird, looping, like, electronic noise that I can't even really describe, with, like, a tinny, like, squeak, or like a what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Just like like that sound that you get in your ear sometimes, like when you get a radio signal stuck in your ear or something, like that sound being played over this weird, glistening electronic thing before suddenly this fucking thick-ass bass line and drums kick in, and then these, like, guitars that sound like sirens start going off, and then the girl starts singing in this high-pitched voice, and you're thinking that the track will now stabilize and become like a song, but instead the guitars just start doing weird shit in the background, and, like, the album never quite has that moment where it just becomes, like, a normal song. It's always, like flying ahead of itself. Like, it's always going faster than it can even handle. But with, like, incredible technical proficiency, where they like, even though it's flying so fast, they still have a handle on all of it. It never becomes like a full-blown grindcore song where, like, they're just playing whatever, and it's like, just like utter chaos. It always feels tight and like it's just on time, if that makes sense. There's a lot of it is just fast, breakneck punk songs. Like, some of them will just be, like, in and out, 1.5 minutes, intense guitars, lots of screeching, and then it's over. But then there's other songs where they'll go into these long, weird passages that break it up. I mean, this album's short. It's only, like, 35 minutes long, but it has a lot of different moods on it, because certain tracks will go into these sort of swampy, bizarre areas. It kind of feels to me, somehow this album to me has always felt like a sun-baked swamp. I don't know why. But I think it's probably because I listened to it a lot while I was playing Zelda: A Link to the Past, and like when I was at the swamp level, that's just where it made the most sense to me. So I have a lot of Zelda associations with this game. I played a lot of classic Zelda to it because it's so chirpy and upbeat that it's almost like the same kind of emotions as like chiptune rock or chiptune metal. Like you could listen to this after Anamanaguchi and it would make sense. It's that same kind of like blistering speed, even though it clearly doesn't come from that musical background. Like it doesn't come from like a video gamey sound. It clearly comes from more of like a grindcore or hardcore punk background or just noise experimental rock. But somehow the sound it ends up having is comparable to like a video game. It's just so high pitched and so glitchy and synthesized that it becomes almost like that. So, I'd encourage you to listen to this kind of thing if you're into like heavy chiptune music or something. Like it's that kind of atmosphere, but a little bit darker and more sinister and with more bite to it than the kind of clean production that a lot of bands like that would have. Not to say that it's like dirty production. In fact, it sounds really good. There's just a lot of noise in there. There's a lot of layers of weird sounding shit. Lots of stuff that like, you're not going to get from a typical band who hasn't experimented with lots of noise in their day. So yeah. I mean, Melt Banana is a band that's been around for a long time. I know like if you're into the scene that this music is a part of, you know about them. But if you've never heard of this kind of music, you've never heard any like noisy, abrasive kind of like rock music, I really encourage you to give this a shot because it's fun to listen to. It's gonna like, it might make your brain actually melt out of your skull. And like when I heard it for the first time, it was really intense and almost hard to listen to. But because it's so much fun, it does have some element of being inviting. And I think that this would be a good entry point for people into like noise and experimental rock. So check it out if you're curious about those genres. If you can handle louder, more abrasive music, even on the level of like Anamanaguchi, which is not that abrasive, but it's kind of, then this might be something worth diving into.